How we doing, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I am your host, Richie, and I am really, really happy. How about my New York Knicks going up 2-0 against the Indiana Pacers? My New York Yankees mopping the floor for a sixth consecutive time against the hated Houston Astros. We've got some hockey action. We're going to talk about the NHL playoffs and the NBA playoffs as we see them right now. We're going to talk about a little bit of a hip-hop beef towards the end of this show. We're going to talk about where Rashee Rice just can't seem to stay out of trouble and how trouble keeps finding him. We'll be back in just a moment. If you haven't already, please make it a point, like and subscribe to the channel, Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube. Enjoy this intro, and we will be right back. All right, we are back. Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. With me this evening, window to Mr. Idris Salam, a.k.a. Bosco from the Bronx.
Yo, what up, y'all? Blue skies.
Feeling good. Orange and blue skies for sure. Window 3 out in San Antonio, Texas, Mr. Mike Zappi. And in window 4, we've got Corey Michael Rain.
Yes, sir.
CMR. If you don't know, now you do.
Better ask somebody.
Zappy, don't mute yourself. I don't know if you know you're on mute, but you are on mute in case you weren't aware. All right.
I didn't realize that, and now I do. So I
I was wondering.
stupid a second ago.
After my 3.5 minutes the other day of speaking to myself, I learned my lesson. So now I always keep an eye on everybody's microphone icon. Man, oh man,
we gotta get Corey we gotta get him an icon.
Absolutely. Guys, what a night for New York sports. Okay. Fellas, what a night for New York sports. This is just like euphoric. It's damn near euphoric what happened at Madison Square Garden tonight after being down 10, after kind of looking like the air was out of the building, especially with Jalen Brunson nursing an injury tonight. OG Anunoby, who was on his way to a potential 40-point night, hamstring injury. Details to come on how severe that's going to be. On a day where they find out Mitchell Robinson, their backup center, is going to be out for the year, probably because of Joel Embiid's Ken Shamrock ankle lock on him. Oh, yeah. Is that Nate Robinson?
Nate Robinson, baby.
That's wild. I just shouted out a UFC guy, too, and then you produced Nate Robinson, former dunk champion.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Great.
The resolve, honestly, man, the resolve of the New York Knicks tonight, in my opinion, I'm not going to say it was the cleanest game they played, but undeniably, this is the most heart this team has shown all season long.
Yeah.
Although they lost the overall rebound battle, they got the key rebounds.
Yeah.
Although Jalen Brunson didn't bust 40 or even 30 tonight, every freaking shot that you could find imaginable that this team absolutely had to have, Jalen Brunson got it to go down. And I'm talking about some serious degree of difficulty. Yep. Halliburton, and I think the announcers got it right. You know, scores over 30. Had a good all-around game on the stat sheet, but he got quiet in the fourth quarter. Not a big impact in the integral moments of this game. Reggie Miller was hearing it from the crowd towards the end of the evening. Fuck you, Reggie, reigned all the way from the cheap seats down to the floor seats.
That was great.
Josh Hart, literally during the telecast, says, "Hey, bro, they're saying fuck you." It's all in love. You can tell that those two have spoken before. And listen, man, Reggie's a rival from the past. I have a lot of respect for him, and mainly because he always wants the smoke, and I appreciate that about guys from his generation. We broke his heart, he's broke ours over the course of 6 great series. But I don't know when this story ends. I have a good idea that we're going to probably go to the ECF right now, but one game at a time right now. These Knicks are nursing injuries, playing phenomenal team ball. Tom Thibodeau needs to calm down. I thought he was going to stroke out at one point tonight. Rick Carlisle really almost stroked out.
Well, Thibodeau, that's Thibodeau, man. And it was great to hear the crowd, that New York crowd yelling, I mean, I'm so proud to be a New Yorker, win or lose, because our crowd, regardless of what's going on, we know how to give it to you.
No question.
And the big Ragu stepped up. I'm glad he did. He came to play. I think he dropped 28, something like that. Josh Hart, got 15 boards. I think he got like 18 points. And our own OG, he dropped 26 or 28.
I think it was 28, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so, even though Brunson didn't drop 40, those two picked it up, and I'm cool. I mean, of course, it was a track race with Indiana, because that's how it is. They're like the highest scoring team. They run to where we're at the bottom when it comes to that. So, but we matched their energy, and the Garden matched their energy. I'm like, I was afraid that we would walk out of New York with a split, and I'm glad we walked out of there. We held the serve. So we can go back to Indiana and say, okay, we just need to take one.
Just got to take one, and preferably take game 3. Then you really put the pressure on them. But, I think the thing that I was most impressed with is when you're talking about running with this short rotation due to injuries, and also because it's a big part of Thibodeau's philosophy, I think what I'm really pleased about is the fact that they were able to win the track meet.
Yeah.
Indy, I think, got a little too comfortable and a little too calm. And quite frankly, they just could not match the Knicks' intensity midway through the third, and it carried over, spilled into the fourth. They made some big shots. They stayed in the ball game.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, not like game 1. I was actually rather calm, and I didn't feel worried like I did in game 1. And I really believe that perhaps I'm starting to buy into the notion that these Knicks are very comfortable playing in these kind of nail biters.
We beat them at their own game, man.
That's the encouraging thing.
Yeah,
I think they match up well with Indiana, honestly.
Yeah.
And also, I think. Oh, go ahead.
I was agreeing.
No, go ahead, Corey. You good.
I also think that the offensive rebounding by New York in the fourth quarter, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like that was a key part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, go ahead, Zach. You first.
No, I was going to say, I love it. But when you look at 104 points scored between 4 guys, these same guys got 19 assists. It's all great and dandy right now.
Yeah.
You guys ran with 7 guys.
Yeah,
but
it's incredible.
Actually,
8.
No,
8.
I won't count him. He 8, but he played for 1
but personally got he didn't play that much.
So, no, I look at that, but it's going to be great this series. But what I'm worried about with the depth of the team right now, especially with the recent news of Mitchell, is how is this really going to be sustainable for a 7-game series against Boston?
Right.
That's what I look at, and because I love the fact that the Nova trio combined for 76 points together. So the 3 of them, they're going to be the big games. But are we going to depend for Anunoby to come in and score 28 a game?
Right.
No,
I'm with you.
That's the part that worries me is the depth, like you were alluding to right now, Richie.
I think ultimately.
Go ahead, Corey. Go ahead.
I think ultimately, like they're staring down a juggernaut in Boston. So I hope I'm wrong, but
I mean, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, there's no question that they're a juggernaut. They're the team that's supposed to, quote unquote, go to the NBA Finals representing the East. And to Zappy's point, it is concerning. But one thing that I will say as a reply to that is, while I would prefer to have a deeper bench, guys like Mitch, guys like Bogdanovich, obviously Julius Randle before these playoffs even started, injured. And now, Anunoby, we don't know what's going to be his story for game 3. My thing is this. All year long, Tom Thibodeau, while getting criticized up and down, because he lost a couple of guys along the way that came back due to injury, really broke his own team, in my eyes, to prepare them for these kind of scenarios. Because if you look at Tom Thibodeau's history, he has a propensity for playing that way, whether it's a gritty team with a superstar back then, like a Derrick Rose during his time in Chicago, or now with a Knicks team that, similarly, maybe not the same vertical explosion, Prime Rose, but a guy who is filling the stat sheet night in and night out. Critical thing. Go ahead.
My only critical point to your point, while he does have that philosophy, it has backfired on him more times than not with injuries. And we saw it tonight with 2 more guys go down. Jalen's fine, still awaiting OG news. But that's the only part that worries me is you're talking about a team that's going to go into a deep playoff stretch. And when you're putting that much stress on your body, on the same guy, your stars, that worries me. Yeah, that's the part that worries me because you're already dealing with problems at depth. And you saw 2 guys go down. So that's the reason why I bring those things up, because I've seen it in years past with him. And we saw it with Chicago in 2012 with Derrick Rose. He should have not been in the game late in the 4th quarter, but he kept them in there. And what happened? His season's over.
Well, one thing I will say is, while I do agree to a level, he doesn't really have the luxury of making a different decision right now. But one thing that I will disagree with certain analysts, I've seen it a lot, they're of the belief that the Knicks don't have anybody on the roster that can create their own shots, and I couldn't disagree more. Josh Hart has been able to get dribble penetration, do his thing in the lane, and finish strong. Dante DiVincenzo, while he might not be the greatest ball handler, definitely knows how to make his own offense. OG Anunoby is the guy. If OG Anunoby is healthy, I'm not saying he's going to be throwing down 30 and 28 at night, like Zap said, that it wouldn't happen. But he is a guy that his skill set suggests that he can create his own shot. Definitely a guy they need, but I'm telling you, do not rush him back. You got the two-game cushion. If he has to miss both games in Indy, so be it. But you don't want to re-aggravate that hamstring and make things worse.
We just need to throw that bench at him.
Absolutely.
Give more time. I mean, we have – get Rich. I mean, go ahead, Zach.
I was going to say, Game 3 is probably your guys' rest game where you might not see OG. You might see it, hey, we're going to prep for a Game 4 or 5 type thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you play every game to win, so all I'm going to say is if the Knicks have the opportunity to step on these guys' necks with or without OG, they're going to do their absolute best to make that happen. I mean, and they did do that down the stretch tonight. It's a different scenario. Indy has their own very rare crowd that makes it a tough place to play, especially this time of the year in the postseason. Before we move it along to the league MVP, I want to talk about this while we keep it on the Knicks. The great debate, how good is Jalen Brunson? I know that given the deal, it's considered one of the best money values in the league when you consider how ridiculous the contracts are for NBA superstars. But when I look at some of the rare air and the territory that he has entered lately, guys like Oscar Robertson on some metrics, guys like Michael Jordan, some of the greatest to ever play this game in the postseason, I just think it's remarkable that this dude, and it wasn't like it just started in the playoffs. This isn't like playoff Jimmy or playoff Jason Tatum. This guy's been doing it all year, dealing with all kinds of adversity to his team. I think it's insulting that he was not, at minimum, a finalist for league MVP. I take issue with that, not because I'm a Knicks fan. I just think it's shitty.
I think that I'm actually surprised that Jokic won again, honestly.
I'm not surprised he won. I'm surprised how big he won.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I didn't see
that right there.
Was it really lopsided? I didn't even catch that part.
He had all right. So first place votes, Jokic. You would have thought something along the lines of a lot closer. Jokic had 79 first place votes. The next player was Shea with 15, Luka had 4, Giannis had 1, Brunson had none. Second place votes. Brunson barely got 3 second place votes, got 1 third place vote. He got the most 5th place votes. So he was never a top 3 in any of the voters' eyes. And
I don't agree with that. Not to disrespect.
And the discrepancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't either. But the total votes was 926 for Jokic, 640 for Shea, 566 for Luka, 192 for Giannis, and 142 for Jalen. That explains why Giannis and Jalen weren't invited, because we're talking about a 400 vote disparity there between third and 4th place. That's a huge difference. But I don't think Jokic should have won running away. I thought Luka had this one in the bag.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I thought this was Luka's year as well. Idris, your thoughts on this? You're muted.
We can't get you. Idris, we don't got you.
Oh, my bad. I don't want to sound like a homer or anything, but I've noticed, and this goes back to Melo being I guess passed over for Rookie of the Year when everyone knows you go by the stats. He beat LeBron out for Rookie of the Year. I mean, this is keep it 100. But and it goes with the New York Giants, and with the exception of Aaron Judge, New York players don't win awards.
I would say, with the exception of consistency, with A-Rod would be the one that broke that mold, but
yeah. But
on a lot of metrics, he wasn't a career Yankee. He was a big free agent addition.
Right. And with the new, and I say this is not a homer thing, but the Knicks never get props. It's always something said, no matter how great a player we have, we never. And with Jalen Brunson, remember when Jalen Brunson came to the Knicks, everybody wanted Donovan Mitchell. Oh, you overpaid Jalen Brunson. He was, second round draft pick, and he was coming off the bench. Da 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 da. But if you look at it, when we got Jalen Brunson, I was glad because another Brunson joins the Knicks staff. We had his father, Rick Brunson, which we still do. I wasn't too keen on Donovan Mitchell because I said he was in Utah. He had a pretty good Utah squad, but he couldn't get him past anything. And I think we got our money's worth, and no matter what Brunson does, he's not going to get the love. He's not going to get it.
And I think another reason why they looked into it is if you look at the 3 finalists, they're all Western Conference guys. And if you look at the records, I mean, OKC with Shea, they would have had the best record amongst the finalists. Denver with Jokic would have had the second best record. Mm-hmm. And they had the same record. Let me rephrase it. They had the same record, but obviously OKC won the West. Mm-hmm. And then Dallas and New York were tied at 50. And if you ask who was the more impressive, it would be Luka, of course, because we saw the guy drop 70 points. We saw the guy do so much this year, So not to take anything away from Jalen, I wouldn't put Jalen ahead of Luka, but it's almost seems as that's what they based it off of. The 3 Western teams have much better records than the Eastern team.
My issue, sorry, Idris. My issue with that is this. Take it back to the Charles Barkley 93 season. Granted, they did have the best record that year. That might not be the best analogy. But I'll use him anyway. I think it's safe to say that in 1993, 1992, 1991, 1990, 1989, and, when he was away from basketball, then he came back, Michael Jordan, best player in the league. I think Barkley won that award because that particular year, similar to Carmelo's a better example. Let's use Carmelo.
97, Carmelo.
Yeah, 97, 98, that era. He was the most important player to his team because this is how I grade an MVP. It's not the best player in the league. Because if that's the case, then it's possibly Luka or Jokic or one of these cats. The reason why I think that Jalen Brunson got shunned in a big way here is because you see where the Knicks are with him. You see what he's doing with these short rotations all year long. The injuries wasn't the only reason why these are short rotations. That's a Thibodeau philosophy. But where the hell would the New York Knicks be without Jalen Brunson right now?
Playing game at best.
Playing game, and I'm not trying to diss Randall and the other guys, but it's a reasonable take.
I think the other teams, Jokic and Luka, they have better supporting casts around them.
That's kind of where I'm going to speak on the record. And by no means am I saying that the Knicks are not a very good basketball team. I think we're possibly a player away from taking that next step and winning a championship. I mean, I wouldn't count him out at this point, but I don't necessarily think this is the year. I've been saying that for the better part of a week. I'm enjoying every bit of this stuff.
Well, I will say, if you were to take away each respective player that was in the top 5 in the MVP voting, to include Jalen, OKC would be nowhere near a number 1 seed. Let's get that straight. And Denver would not be nowhere near. So those two right there would be 1, 2. Dallas is in a lot better position to have a sustainable, where there'll probably be a 41, 42 win team without Luka. And New York would probably be around, right, like you guys said, an 8 seed play-in game. So these teams would still make the playoffs. But if you take Shea and you take Jokic out of those two teams, they're not making the playoffs.
I don't.
That's reasonable.
Well, yeah. See that. I mean, like with me, I'm not. My thing is Brunson not being in the running. That's my thing. I think he should have been in that list. Now, I would have gave it to Luka or somebody like. I would have gave it to them.
Sorry. No. You go.
I just think I think he should have got more consideration. I'm not saying he should have won. I'm just saying he should have got more consideration. Right. That's my thing.
And you also have to remember, guys, that Jokic was as deserving. We were more impressed with how Luka played this year. But was this also a, hey, guy, we are sorry about last year. Embiid should not have gotten it. So while there's guys that are in the running that probably are a little more deserving than you this year, we're going to make it up to you this way.
Yeah.
That's cute. That's really cute. I wish Kobe would have had that benefit.
You know what's going to happen.
How the fuck are him and Shaq one-time MVPs? That's a crime.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen now, though, right? Jokic is going to get snubbed.
We know why. Because of an accusation.
If that looks good next year, they'll give it to
Luka.
They'll give it to Luka.
But last thing I want to say about this Jalen Brunson New York thing, I think Idris made a solid point. The Knicks have been so dysfunctional prior to the Leon Rose era running the team the right way for the first time in a long time. True, as far as I'm concerned, probably the best guy since Ernie Grunfeld, if we're really being honest.
Yeah.
So when I look at what he's done and the responsible way that he's built this team, I think that there's still a preconceived notion. I mean, guys, Brunson's only been a Knick for 2 years. Yeah. You see the videos on IG or wherever you find these videos where every respected analyst that covers the NBA was dogging on that move. So I still think there's a residual among certain people that are still not convinced that he is that dude yet. And the only way that you shut people up and start winning them over is just keep doing what you're doing. But Jalen Brunson, as far as I'm concerned, should have gotten a little more consideration. But I'm not going to cry about Jokic winning it or Luka having the consideration either, because at the end of the day, I don't give two shits who wins the MVP.
Right.
It's about getting the brass. And
it's not like they gave it to some scrub or something.
No, not by any means. It's just
this is not a Scott Rowland.
I do think not a Scott Rowland. But I do think I do think it gets overlooked how pressure packed being the face of a New York franchise is. And I don't think that they totally weigh that angle of it either, but it's all good. Speaking of Jokic, before we move it along, third MVP, guys, is it time? Zappy and I were speaking about this pre-show. Is it time to start considering 3 to 5 all-time center consideration? Zappy, hit me with what it would take to put him there in the near future.
And so I'm going to add to it. So I said that for Jokic to get top 3, he would have to not only bring his team back from down 0-2 in this series, he would have to take, and I think they would still win the finals if he did bring him back. That to me would put him top 3. No matter what happens with the outcome of this series, I believe he has passed Hakeem to go top 5. Personally, if you look at both of their careers, Hakeem only won MVP one time.
Yeah.
This is Jokic's 3rd time. So, and then Hakeem, it took him how long to be an NBA champion? Jokic did it. Jokic is only 29. Yeah. So to me, when you look at where the trajectory of their careers, Jokic is a lot further, and plus what he can do with the ball. Centers has changed. Jokic, I think, would succeed at any generation because he's just an all-around player. He's got the body to body you, and he's got the basketball IQ to pass the ball and get it around the court. Those are reasons why I think he's a top 5 center now with his 3rd MVP.
It's hard to argue that.
I got the best rebuttal, but I want you boys to speak on it first.
Yeah.
When you got an idea, you're like, just keep it right there. Idris, Corey, fly, get on it.
I actually think he is top 5 right now because he's clearly one of the most skilled centers of all time when it comes to basketball. I'm not talking about awards or championships.
Yeah.
I'm just going to talk basketball, and the way he passes, and he's not even athletic. He just has amazing skill. He'll never pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, in my opinion. That's just crazy. But definitely put him in the top 5. Yeah, I get Zappy's point about Hakeem. I like to just look at skill level because I think championships are, I don't really put a lot of emphasis on that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially not at this position. Not this position. Because Hakeem, you can't take away the fact, he won 2, should have probably won more. But if I were to ask you, would Hakeem have the same amount of success today that he did back then? I don't think so. But where I think Jokic would have the same amount of success, like I said, in any generation.
I agree.
I
was
just going to say one more thing. I don't know if Hakeem would have had the outside shooting that Jokic has. Anyway, go ahead.
No.
Yeah, I think Jokic. Yeah, I think he's be good in the area. Like I say, he's not super athletic, but the guy's smart. He's there when you need to be there. He can stretch the floor. He can play down low. We see, he can play against some bigs. You can put two or three bigs against him. He'll still ball. It's not like he'll just choke. Good facilitator. Got some good ass hands, man. His vision is like insane. So you could put him in any area, and he's physical, so he'll make it in the night.
It's the fundamentals for him.
Yeah, he'll make it. He's like Larry Bird. Larry Bird wasn't all that athletic.
He had that grit. He had it all.
He was
like I told Richie from a skill mindset. I think he is the most skilled center, even more skilled than Kareem, because of the fact that this guy can shoot the 3 like nothing, and for that reason. But he has no athletic ability, but he's got.
You know what I always find interesting though, like. I think Wilt Chamberlain probably could have adapted to any era because of how crazy, special he was.
Yeah, he's freakish. Yeah, he was so freakish.
That goes a long way.
He would have probably been what Wemby is today.
All right. Yeah. In reference to Zappy's point, I agree and I disagree. One and the same. I'll tell you what I agree with. He makes a good point about Olajuwon potentially not having that same impact if he played in today's game. He also mentioned other centers, and I do agree with you, Zap, on that. Where I disagree about the whole top 5 center thing, this is my issue with that. When Hakeem did what he did, for the most part, during his career, the center still ruled the NBA. Whereas in the generation that Jokic plays in, you have maybe a handful of guys. Now, I get it. The position has evolved. The game has evolved. And it's not the same asks of and I agree. The man Jokic could play in any era. Right now, 6th all time is where I would have him. 6th all time, which I think is a good rating, and there's still more to come. There's reasonable evidence as to why he will continue to climb. But this is how I see it as of right now. Because while I do agree with you, Zap, I still can't punish guys for not playing in this era either. Particularly when so many people bitch and moan about this era.
But do you think Hakeem would have made it in today's era? That's the question.
It's not something I have to think about because he don't play in this era.
I think he would. The reason he would.
But I agree with you, if that makes any sense.
I think he'll succeed in this era because Kareem was athletic. He could shoot. He can. I don't think
footwork is still footwork.
Yeah,
nobody's going to tell me that in the paint that guy can't do damage.
Yeah, I think he'll succeed because another thing is
all-time NBA blocks leader. Sorry,
this is why I say he'll succeed because I go back to the physicality of the time he played. And see, today if he's down low, the dream spin, you can't touch him. That's like
that's
a freebie for him.
I mean, with all due respect, if they can't stop Jokic, they're stopping Dream. The footwork.
He gets down there and he gets down.
I get what Zappy's saying though, because he makes a good point too. Because philosophy-wise, Dream's skill set is not going to be valued like it was in the era he played in. But the reason why I have a hard time pushing him down is because he played in an era where they asked the most out of that position. These are my top 5, no particular order. I'm just going to name them right now. This isn't a ranking show. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, Wilt Chamberlain, that's 3. Hakeem Olajuwon in the 4. Who else would be ahead of Jokic if I really had to think about it? I kind of view him more as a power forward, so I would probably say, out of respect and out of the fact that he won so damn much, it is impossible to not put Bill Russell there for the sheer fact the man won 11 rings. The man is considered the greatest defensive center of all time, possibly the greatest defensive player of all time. But I will say that offensively, he was not a full house. Then let's say if I put Jokic in there, then you could start really debating the Moses Malones, the Patrick Ewings, many a guy that you could really debate about. But this was a great conversation. Good points by each and every one of you, because like I said, I agree and I don't agree with Zappy. And the fact that I can't completely agree or disagree means that this is a great conversation that we need to enhance on a future show.
No wrong answer, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, there really isn't.
No, it's not. It's all opinion, but what it's showing, even with like the MVP voting, a lot of people are thinking the same as far as ranking wise and stuff, And I'm sure, I think 10 years from now we're going to be revisiting this. Is Jokic 1 or 2?
It's a good possibility, dude.
That's honestly when I look at Jokic. But the only reason why we won't is because he doesn't have that love for the game that other players do. We saw that on full display last year. I mean, he treats it like work, and then he goes home and does his true love.
I just think it's tough because of the sheer, like I said, that position and the guys that are ahead of him, that position ruled the league. There were a couple of players that switched the power from center to other places on the court. There's literally 4 guys I'm going to come up with. It's Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan. How many did I just – and Isaiah Thomas. Those are the 4, and then everything else kind of flipped. The center got power back post-Jordan when Shaq was in his all-the-way prime with the LA Lakers with those 3 years of utter dominance when they three-peated. And I'm saying Go ahead.
Now, if I had to put Jokic among the most skilled, I'd probably put him at number 1.
No question. The guy's silky smooth, and he does a little bit of everything, which to Zappy's point.
His freaking vision is just...
Yeah, the dude could play literally in any era. We're going to be moving it along to the ice for a moment.
Yeah.
Boston Bruins, essentially, this is the same game, different result from what we saw in Game 1 against the Florida Panthers. Before the NHL schedule came out, playoff schedule came out, I predicted Panthers in 7 in this particular round facing our New York Rangers. I'm sticking with that for now. They still got to go to Boston. Boston did good by winning Game 1.
Yeah.
But
tonight.
I think what happened tonight is the legs got to them a little, because when you're in that grueling 7-game series with the Maple Leafs, and it's a very emotional thing, and, you damn near blow the 3-1 lead, and you got to imagine.
Leafs almost did it.
Yeah. After what Boston endured last year with the best record in the history of hockey to lose in round 1, to further enhance the curse of the President's Trophy. I think, and Zappy said it. Zappy said going into Game 1, and he was 100% right. He said Boston's going to ride the momentum, the adrenaline from winning that series, and it seems now that things have kind of curbed down. So I think the series really starts Game 3 in Boston. It's going to be a hell of a series. I think it's going 7 either way. I did pick the Florida Panthers. I wouldn't be upset if Boston won, because Florida going in is the team in the East that I was concerned about the most playing our Rangers. Any feedback with you guys here before we kind of take it at a deeper glance, NHL, NBA playoffs?
I'm going to go Boston in 6. And see, unlike last year, Boston hasn't had a target on his back. So and I mean they got shellacked tonight. But
one game don't mean nothing though.
Yeah, you split Florida. You're going back to Boston. You know how they play in Boston. I'm picking them in 6. I think I'm picking them in 6, man.
Yeah, I'm same here. I think Boston wins.
Wow,
in 6.
we got 2. Corey, you got something on this?
I hate Boston.
I really know nothing about hockey anymore, but I will say this. I'm honest, man.
I love the honesty. No, really. It's cool.
Yeah, you're the baseball guy, so
I feel like hockey is the most unpredictable sport because
it is.
I think you've had the most 8 seeds beat 1s in hockey of any sport.
Yeah.
Not to mention that the President's Trophy, I keep alluding to it over the course of the past 6 months. Yeah, it has been a curse, and the Rangers obviously have that trophy this year. So let's see if we can keep it. Wood right here. Rangers have yet to lose a playoff game. The only team in the NHL that still hasn't lost a playoff game in these playoffs. NHL and NBA playoffs at a glance. We've obviously spoken quite a bit about the Knicks, so we're going to give them a break. I do want to hone in on couple of hot takes, and I'm going to let you guys ride. Number 1, the Dallas Stars. Hockey. You're up 3-0 after 1 period against an Avalanche team who is high energy. They love to really push the issue up and down the ice.
Colorado.
Something that Dallas said that they wanted to avoid. But this is the thing. They have a suspect goalie in terms of the guys that are also in this tournament. The fact that the Stars were not able to get that 4th goal to really bury them, I was quite surprised. I did pick Dallas to win this series. I'm sticking with my prediction, but I must say this. Game 2 is going to be so vital because it is emotionally difficult to lose a game 1 under those circumstances. I remember it happened to my Rangers a couple of years ago, triple overtime loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Ultimately, we overcame that. And we ended up losing the ECF to the Tampa Bay Lightning, but it's going to be it's a tough one to come back from.
I'm going.
That was a hard one to swallow last night. No, I was going to say that last night that was a hard one to swallow. I mean, it was just you get that 3-0 lead. I do like the way Colorado changed their playing but you see why they were so explosive, having one of the top scorers in the NHL this year. But Corey, to your point about hockey is so unpredictable, it was just 2-1 Edmonton, and in a span of 30 seconds, it's now 4-1 Edmonton over Vancouver in the second period. Just like that.
And by the way, I picked Edmonton to win that series and win tonight. I know my Western Conference, even though I'm a Ranger fan. I've been hitting everything in the West this year.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going with Colorado, man.
That was
how do you go 3-0, man? And you just
that's such a tough man. That's my concern. I think Dallas is a better team this year.
Yeah,
but that's my concern. And the Avs, let's not forget, last year they were injury riddled going into the playoffs. They do have some championship pedigree going back to a couple of years ago when they dethroned a team that was going for a 3-peat, the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's my honest hot take for now. With that,
but the one thing. Dallas was down 0-2 to Vegas and came back and won one as well.
Yeah. They were very resilient, and they're going to have to be tested yet again. And you know as well as I do, Zappy, that's what these playoffs in either sport are all about. Minnesota Timberwolves, we talk about Jokic, the MVP. Zappy said it best off air. They have not only put the blueprint on how to beat the defending world champions, but they have the right trio, the big men who make Jokic work so hard that it basically rips Denver's offense down to its foundation.
Yeah. Get them 7-footers, man. And the thing about Rudy Gobert didn't even play.
Yeah.
And whoever was calling him out for missing the game.
Gilbert Arenas.
Gilbert Arenas. For the birth of your child? Come on,
man. Bullshit.
This is the same guy who played in the same era that said it was a weak era.
He's like the R-Truth of the NBA.
Yeah, he's a knucklehead, man. I don't take nothing he say serious. He he's trying to show me.
He's entertaining, and he's a guy that I enjoyed watching play. And I don't hate Gilbert by any means, but that's not the take, dude.
I mean, I think, hey, if anything, what we learned is that, that dude is the defensive player of the year. And it just goes to show that even without Rudy Gobert there, they still have those two other big guys that can stop.
They got a bunch of 7-footers there, man. And see, that's what you have to do against Joe. You got to put them towers on them, man, and make the other ones work. And the other ones didn't work.
Well, Zappy, Zappy said it earlier in the show. He said it to me off air. Mm-hmm. If Jokic can rally his guys and overcome Anthony Edwards and his squad, it might expedite the whole ranking thing. And I must admit that given the adversity and losing the first two at home, mind you, it is just going down 0-2. Two at home. Now. Yeah, this is no joke. And Minnesota is thirsty for an NBA title. This is a franchise that has not won one yet. They got close a couple of times, mainly in the Garnett era. But it's exciting, man. And I think I know I said it. I know Zappy said it. I think we all probably agree. The winner of this series should probably win the NBA Finals.
Possibly.
I think I'm not trying to shit on the Celtics, but I just personally think that while the Celtics are a powerhouse, I think these two particular teams, Denver has shown time in different metrics that they could be the Celtics' kryptonite, and Minnesota, kind of like the great unknown of how high they were going to elevate their game. But what they did to Phoenix and now what they're doing to Denver, Anthony Edwards is a different animal in these playoffs.
They have the length at every position to cover guys.
That defense was sensational.
So that's why even if Boston is playing Minnesota, the defense Minnesota has, they're the number one ranked defense in the NBA for a reason.
Yeah,
I mean, these guys have some serious length for one. And you mean to tell me that length is going to lose to Boston? No. And then with Denver, just championship mentality, But no, Minnesota right now. Whew.
I think Boston is a flash in the pan kind of hype team. Like, they're great, but I don't see it. Like, they'll easily win the East, in my opinion, but I think Jason Tatum disappears in big moments. So.
Him and Jalen Brown.
Maybe that big moment will come a week earlier and we get him in the ECF.
Because,
it's just funny how Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum, two of the most disappearing acts in the NBA, are playing each other right now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody from Queens disappear that quick since Ja Rule.
Exactly. Yeah. And with Minnesota, they need a championship. The only ones who won championship was the Twins, and that's been about
Christ, dude.
30 years
a long time ago. That was
91 or 90 years.
Kirby Puckett with that sensational catch in center.
Yeah, Kirby.
Yeah, 91.
Yeah.
So, Danny Gladden coming home.
Yeah, Gladden.
I can't believe I remember that.
The days of the Metrodome.
Metrodome, yes, sir.
So
the Timberwolves have never even made the finals.
No,
sir. They in the Garnett era, they only made the Western Conference Finals once.
They lost to Kobe and Shaq, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, they had the Minnesota North Stars at one point. I think they got to the Cup, but they didn't win though. But I know
I got to look that up because I do have a memory of the North Stars. I just can't remember who they played off the top of my head.
I think they got there, but I know they got a couple of conference championships, but they were good. But I'm pretty sure they never won a championship.
We're gonna hone in now, unless if anybody wants to add anything else off the top of their brain. We're gonna hone in on MLB. We're gonna get Corey Kirchkin in here. This is his favorite. This is his favorite stuff here. Who's hot? Who's not in MLB? You can start wherever you care to, Corey. I am going to sit back and enjoy some of this, and we're going to keep a little time for Richie Rice as well as a rat beef, and we are not above going an extra 15 on another video if need be. Corey, fly. Go ahead, bud.
All right, I want to talk about the Houston Astros, and I just kind of want to have you guys comment on that as well. Is this the year that they're finally going to be bad?
I think this is the year they're I don't think they're going to make the playoffs by any means, but I think this is going to be the year we're going to see them sell. And I think this is the year where we're going to see guys like Altuve, maybe Alex Bregman, Verlander for sure, either Christian Javier or Framber Valdez. We're going to see a lot of these guys get traded for them to get ready for another youth movement, because we saw it already work for this team once.
Dusty Baker walks off in the sunset. He's talking about playoffs.
I think Dusty Baker saw the writing on the wall. But it's crazy. Like, they're still a good hitting team. They're one of the best offenses in baseball.
Yeah.
Their pitching has been atrocious.
Well, their pitching is atrocious too, because the only team that doesn't have the only team that is worse than them is my Rangers as far as DL for starters.
Yeah, but you guys got a better excuse at least.
Yeah.
Injuries.
Well, same with Houston. Houston is missing the majority of their starting pitchers. Although it hasn't really been starting pitching that's hurting them. It's their bullpen that's hurting them.
It's that transition.
So
you said it best.
Problem.
You said it off air. We spoke, I believe it was last night. And you said Hader is better in the National League.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that. You're plain simple. Didn't even think about it.
Hader has an ERA over 6.
That's insane.
That's insane, man.
Also, the Orioles,
he got it down under 7 finally.
He's throwing 45 miles.
Also, the Orioles, which we haven't brought up yet, but they have a guy named Craig Kimbrell who has really shit the bed. So
he kind of reminds me of Ched Stedman in Rookie of the Year. The guy that's holding on for dear life.
Right.
Yeah. But the Yankees have kicked their ass this year. I mean, honestly, the first series, they came back in some.
Can you say that twice? Can you say that twice?
Yeah, they got their number this year. The
no. Say it like you said it, man.
Yes, say it like you said. Just you can repeat yourself. It's okay.
It's
a long time coming because I did a lot of podcasts where I was talking about the other side of this. And as a matter of fact, the most views we've ever had on this podcast is after the Yankees got swept by these assholes.
Yeah.
But yeah, their pitching is the Yankees are feasting on their pitching. It's been unbelievable.
I love it.
Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, and Juan Soto all go deep tonight. Judge is quietly working his way out of that slump.
His way back.
I still would have traded Gleyber Torres to get to make that trade with the Marlins as opposed to having that man go to the San Diego Padres. I'm like, why? If I knew he was on the market, I would have made that deal. He would have been a great ingredient in this lineup. You can't get every player though. What else, Corey? Philadelphia Phillies. What are your thoughts on these guys?
Great team. They have the best pitcher in baseball right now in Zach Wheeler. Cole's injured, so the Mets royally screwed up when they didn't retain him at the time.
I tend to agree.
Great lineup. I mean, I think this is the year that they've kind of had the Braves number in the playoffs. So I think they're going to be there in the end again, possibly be in the World Series, even over the Dodgers, because I'm not completely sold that the Dodgers are the best in the NL just yet.
I must say this, though, Corey. After I called them out, I believe I was doing the show with Zap, actually, and I said, these guys are too damn good to be barely over 500. And since then, they have been on a torrid pace.
They have.
Ohtani is honing in, despite what happened, with all the drama coming into the year. Ohtani is really playing at a high level. From a talent-based standpoint, nobody's supposed to be better. But, yeah, it's hard for me to totally buy in when I've seen the Philadelphia Phillies deal with all kinds of adversity, overcome things. I saw the Diamondbacks last year, who aren't even that good this year, overcome things. We've seen the Atlanta Braves possibly be the best team in baseball, but the Phillies are their kryptonite. So, it sets up a lot of great storylines for the second half of the season. One thing I will say pertaining to our guys, I cannot wait until Jason Dominguez comes back.
Yes.
I think if you look at the NL, honestly, the Phillies are playing great right now, especially with Zach Wheeler. Bryce Harper's playing phenomenal. I mean, this whole team is good.
Yeah.
Phillies and Dodgers may very well be the last two teams in the NL playing for the rights to the World Series because of the simple fact that the Braves still have not figured out how to beat the Phillies. They still have 3/4 of the season left to do it, but they got to figure this out.
Man. That Philly pitching.
Well, yeah, their pitching has been great. And, when I look at the Dodgers, I think they're on the verge, especially now with Walker Buehler back in their lineup after a couple years out. I think that is a huge addition for that team.
Yeah. Not to mention, James Paxton's been good as well as Glasnow.
I'm still not sold on the Dodgers. I'm going to say it. Maybe I'm just because I'm a Dodger hater, but I'm still not sold on them. I think they should be better than what they are. I mean, they're winning. Otani's doing his thing, but I'm just not. I feel about them like I feel about the Mets. And until the Mets show me something different, and I'm so glad the Mets are 500 because I don't like the Mets.
I mean, the Phillies and the Dodgers are tied for the most wins in baseball right now. 26
Who
wins.
is the random team in the NL that can say not so fast to both of those teams in the panel's opinion?
I would say Chicago.
Ooh, you like the Cubs to do that. That's kind of cool.
I'm going to Padres.
We're going to save – sorry, Corey, go ahead.
I still think Milwaukee could surprise.
If they don't check out after that All-Star break like they like to do.
Every friggin' year. They refuse to get the 1 or 2 players.
Yeah, let's trade these guys off. No, we know we're in first place. Let's get trade our starting catcher and our left and right fielder. Let's just do it.
I want to save the final 10 minutes or so for this rap beef, but one final thing, and we don't have to get too deep on this one. Trouble keeps finding Rashee Rice. What? Come on, bro. Anything you guys want to add? Basically, this is an assault at a club, Zappy, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, he punched the photographer at a club.
Lord.
This guy, I mean, we're already expecting him to be suspended. I said I think it'll be a 12 game with a reduction to.
Well, this might do 4 because usually if you hit a spouse, it's only 2 games.
Yeah.
And now they upped it
more than that, man.
So he doesn't know this person personally, so they'll probably make it like more of a penalty.
Yeah, you got to smoke. If they find weed in the system, they'll suspend him for more.
Yeah, he'll be suspended until 2032.
Well, I mean, this is stuff that they also found in a system from the his toxicology reports from the accident. So that part is
I just don't get it. This looks like John Morant all over again.
It's the name Rice, dude.
But remember, if weed is in his system, the NFL cannot do anything to him. That would only be the state of Texas that could do something to him.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, Zap, they're not testing for marijuana anymore in the NFL. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, that's why. So, Josh Gordon's probably pissed off.
Yeah, his whole career.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, he's on the verge of just throwing it all away. I mean, especially if Xavier Wardy and Hollywood Brown come together and are a great 1-2 duo that a lot of people think they're going to be.
And after Darren Waller finds his love for football again and ends up signing a 1-year deal with these guys because he don't want to retire. He just don't want to be a Giant. Gentlemen, we are coming up on the 7-minute mark. What are your thoughts on this here, guys? I'm going to start with Idris. What's beef? Aubrey, Drake, hella fake. Mr. Salam, what's your take?
It's over, man. Rip Aubrey, whatever his last name is, Drake. Rip. Rest in pieces, man.
Woo.
Rest in pieces. I'm glad. I'm gonna tell you why I'm glad. I'm making sure so these guys had a chance. Tell you why I'm glad because I always say he's a puppet. He's a phony. And people throw the word culture vulture around. They always throw it at white rappers, which I disagree because I never felt Eminem was a culture vulture. I felt Eminem was someone who was true to the culture. So I don't go that. But this guy, Drake, he's the definition of a culture vulture.
Thank you.
Period.
Thank you. Mr. Rain, Mr. Zappy.
I think that this is not surprising. It's not surprising for people that are hip hop heads. Kendrick Lamar is to me, is the greatest artist of his generation. He was totally going to outclass Drake in every way. I mean, Drake's got the popularity and the females and the young females now that we know.
God, that was when I heard that, I was like,
listen, Kendrick is too clever, and the stuff that he was delving into and researching and the references he was making, if you go down that rabbit hole, this man is just like a maniacal genius. And
that was like sneaky. That was like Pearl Harbor type strategy.
Yeah.
No, seriously. I'm not like this dude really did his homework here.
And you can tell it's personal because he's trying to expose Drake for being a pedophile. He's trying to expose him for being a lame, all that stuff. He's not a gangster like Idris was saying before. This guy.
Well, I kind of put that together when I saw him at the bar mitzvah.
I'm not gonna lie, like I like some of Drake's early music.
Yeah.
I like Take Care is a good album. Like I don't totally hate the guy, but Kendrick Lamar is a different animal, and I'm just not surprised at this. I think non-hip hop people are, backtracking and copping pleas right now, but it's over, like he said. It's hip hop don't care about numbers.
No.
Like when it comes to lyricism, get down or lay down. Like
right, exactly.
I would love.
What did I hear that from? Get down or lay down.
I would love a
Boondocks.
most def. I would love a most def mixtape to just be the final nail in the coffin after that egregious disrespect to the Brooklyn-born icon, Mr. Zappy. Anything you want to add to Aubrey Drake here?
Formerly
Jimmy of Degrassi.
You know that photo that just came out recently of Ryan Garcia being held back by the referee standing over Heaney?
Yeah.
This to me right now is Kendrick standing over him, but no one's holding him back. And Drake is on count number 8, and he's not going to get up. Like, how do you get up from that? First of all, Drake took it personal. Kendrick,
he did. He started it.
Yeah, he started it. And Kendrick said, all right, you chose this.
Yeah.
And you know what? As a true hip hop artist would do, he did it.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. Like, hands down, that was beauty. I was just listening to it. I was just like, damn.
And this is the thing too. Kendrick is not a guy that, like,
no,
he takes his time. He's very clever and thought
he definitely takes his time, because you saw how long it took him to make another album.
Yeah. But he woke up something. He woke up a sleeping giant, and a guy that you just don't want to fuck with in this capacity because he's just too incredible, in my opinion.
Ask Jay-Z what happens when you play that game with somebody that you think maybe doesn't love it no more. You find out that you may have just got that flame from the dragon.
Drake is Jake Paul. That's
a good analogy, Zap.
Yeah.
I want Mos Def showed that dude so much grace just to show the class of Mos Def. He didn't have to do that. Mos Def is an icon. I was furious that Drake thought it was cool. Similar to how I was pissed off when Nelly was popping shots at KRS-One. There's certain guys that I deem hip-hop royalty that you don't speak to that way. I don't give a damn what year it is, what era it is. That was bullshit.
I agree with you. I will say this, though. I think Melly Mel was in the wrong for his Eminem comments. So I didn't really like his comments.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't hear them.
He's basically just saying, "Oh, he's white. That's the only reason why."
He was out of line. He was out of line.
Got to be off that at this juncture. That man has paid his dues, like him or not. And I'm not the biggest M fan. The man's paid his dues.
Yeah,
and he's always paid homage.
Yeah. See, that's why I respect him. That's why I say people call him a culture vulture. M has been true to the culture, and he's paid. Yeah, huh? Yeah.
Who was the one leading the way for the Lions in the playoffs? Who was the one that was leading the way for the draft? Eminem knows exactly where he came from, and he will be the first person to tell you he's never going to forget where he came from.
And I'm not a big fan of M, but I respect him.
No, I respect him.
I respect him big time.
I do as well.
I'm
not the biggest fan.
I like early M.
It's impossible. It's impossible for me not to respect him.
Yeah, I like his early.
That's all you need to know.
But
his favorite MCs, Tretch and Redman. Boom.
Yeah, but Drake, I'm DMX. I don't like nothing about him. I like the way he look. I don't really walk on.
That's who I want to reincarnate. If we could bring back DMX just to address his ass and then go back to heaven, I'd be fine with that.
You know what's funny? In that same interview with DMX, they asked him about Rick Ross, and he was like, "I don't like Ross either. What's he gonna rap about? Eating hamburgers?" Like.
So, are you saying that he's Andy Reid's favorite rapper?
Probably.
Andy Reid's quarterback does kind of look like Aubrey. Okay, let me stop. Guys, we got a lot done here tonight. Great show. Really enjoyed the context, the conversations. I do want to reopen this hip-hop conversation on a deeper level in a future show. I know that we missed out on our 50 years of hip-hop. Unfortunately, we just so damn bogged down with the holidays, but I do want to revisit.
You didn't miss out. 50 years last for a whole year.
I bet. So that means that sooner than later.
Yeah.
And if you have not seen our last hip hop show, it's in the catalog. Shout out Zay Fetty. That was a fun show with Idris and I. Talking about the Jack Harlow situation. That was going back a ways. That was a fun one. For Corey, for Idris, for Mike Zappi, it's been nothing short of a pleasure. Great job, everyone. Go Knicks,
awesome.
Go Rangers, go Yankees. You, AJ Hitch.
NFL schedule drop next Wednesday.
Yes, sir. And we're going to be hitting on that preview as well as a reaction show. I am fired up. New York's winning. Don't worry, Zappy. Your Rangers going to get healthy and make a run. I'm telling you right now.
I believe
we're doing. We have the hitting. I'm not worried as long as we play above 500 ball. Once we get our pitching back, that's when it gets nipped down to the gritty. Yeah, we'll be fine. I'm not worried about it.
Yep, y'all will.
For the boys, we are out for now. Announcements to come on our next show. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks for hanging with us.